Hey guys, this is Jay coming to you from 21st Century Reviews, bringing you another review for Star Trek, the official Starships collection by Eagle Moss, issue number 10, The Borg Sphere. As you can tell, it's a sphere-shaped vessel of the Borg Collective. Their home base is located in the Delta Quadrant, identified from episodes such as Q-Who from Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 2. Definitely more information was touched on about them in the later shows, like in Voyager. They made it a huge point to definitely give us a much better glimpse of this culture, of these vessels. One of the main things I actually enjoyed about the Borg was just a huge diversity of these ships. We got to see so many great designs. Being, spheres, cubes, pyramids, diamonds, the probe, which was pretty simple in design, but actually I really liked it. The Borg tactical cube, which was kind of cool to see a Borg cube with body armor, basically, which does come in a later issue, but I will look forward to reviewing that at a later time. But without further ado, kind of go over the history of it a little bit. It's kind of a little-known fact, and it's not even necessarily a fact as much as it's more like a fan conjecture of where discussion was that the Voyager probe from Star Trek the Motion Picture was actually a creation of the Borg in their earlier years. And then when you actually look at the design of the ship in the Star Trek the Motion Picture Director's Cut, that came out right around 2000, 2001. It really shows some really great graphical design to what Voyager really looked like underneath that cloud, which is why I actually say I really enjoy Star Trek the Motion Picture despite all of its flaws. Just the very notion that it was an introduction to the Borg possibly to me is just huge. Like I said, we got to see plenty of the Borg in Star Trek The Next Generation. Q-Who, The Best of Both Worlds, Borg, and of course Descents Part 1 and Part 2. It didn't really give us a huge look at Borg design or an evolution of the Borg, but to be fair, that is one of the things that Voyager, despite its lack of fandom, really did an amazing job, really giving some real character depth and dimension to this culture. It showed us, the Borg unicomplex and everything. It gave us a chance to really get a feel for these guys. To be honest, this is just one design. We first saw it in Star Trek First Contact. The design details of it and everything are really phenomenal. I actually really adore this design. It's neat. I mean, it has very few flaws to it because, to be honest, every inch of this thing is Aztec'd. And as a modeler, that's so awesome. I mean, like, legitimately, super duper awesome. I like the fact that it's not the same all the way around because it's not supposed to be. The details are really good. The green application to it is eerie looking. It's got that feel to it, although I will touch a little bit more on that in a minute. But without further ado, let's get to the pros and cons section. Pros, I will say, when I hold this up to my Playmates Borg Cube, because I've yet to get my Star Trek Attack Wing Borg Cube, that's kind of one of the last pieces of my Borg collection I really need to get. But if you really compare it even to just the Playmates Borg Cube, size-wise, it's comparable, and it's pretty much right where it's supposed to be. So scale, I actually give it a top mark for actually fitting in with the rest of the ships. The design and Aztecing, I have to give it top marks for because you won't find a ship, honestly, that's better Aztec'd than the Borg Sphere. All of its contours are perfect, and they're just the way they're supposed to be. So you couldn't ask for a better Aztecing job than this ship. Normally I grade on decals. In this instance, you can't grade on decals because they don't have them. So decaling, weirdly enough, by default, it gets a 5 because it doesn't have them. So by default of him following true to it, and not putting any decals on it, top marks. Good job. Paint, do I even need to say it? Look at that thing. It looks awesome. The black is just the way it's supposed to be. The charcoal gray contours are really good to show the depth and the shallow spots. The green application is really, really good. But that will take me to the number one con on this, and that is it's not even a bad thing. To be completely honest, it's not a bad thing. I might have went with a more neon green, or like that glow-in-the-dark neon green paint on the green spots, simply because to me, if you dimmed the light in the room, it would almost give it a little bit more dimension if you were able to, like see it in the distance. So to be fair, I actually, would have rather seen that, but there's nothing wrong with the paint job they did. I just would have done it that way just to give it a cooler look. The only other design flaw I can really give to this thing is that when you look at still frames of the Borg sphere from, say, Star Trek First Contact and the episodes in Voyager like Endgame, you'll see like this shape. It's almost like an upside-down trident on the hull. And, it's a nitpick more than anything else because, to be fair, the design is perfect. I love this thing. This is actually one of my favorite ships in the collection. But there's like this upside-down fork shape on the very bottom of the sphere. It kind of trails about a quarter of the way up the globe of it. And it's on every one of the models. But it's not on this one. And I don't dislike it for that reason. I just think, if you were going to replicate it exactly, that would be there. But in all honesty, no complaints because they got everything else 100% right. So, to be fair, just because there is a couple of little whatever, I'm going to grade it 4 out of 5. Simply because, I might have done it a little differently. But, the stand design is perfect. I like the fact that it sits right on the top. You can flip the sphere and put the top on the bottom and the bottom on the top, and it doesn't make any difference. The ship still looks amazing. So, to be fair, I have really no complaints for this thing. Other than, like I said, I might have done like a little bit of paint different on it and everything, but at least scale-wise, when you're comparing it to other Borg ships in the line or in other models that you may have, it fits right in. That's one of my chief complaints with the Eagle Moss collection is that the ship's scales seem to be off, and there's a few of them that I don't really care. It doesn't bother me, but then there's a few specific models that I'm just like, really? You couldn't have made this even a little bigger? So, but the sphere, 4 out of 5, gets great marks. So that concludes the review for tonight. Normally they're a little bit longer, but usually there's a little bit more to talk about. But in this instance, it's actually a pretty simple model. There's not a whole lot to it, but at the same time, for being such a simple model, it's a really amazing design. So I did want to put a shout out there to say that I finally got my 7th subscriber on YouTube. And hey, you know who you are, hopefully. You're hopefully watching. I just want to say thank you for your support. I really, really appreciate it. Hopefully tell your friends, tell your colleagues, tell your fellow Trekkers. Come on over to the page. Check it out. Give me your criticisms. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you want to see. Ask questions. Get involved in the talk. Check out the Facebook page. There is one of those as well. So feel free to leave me questions, comments, and concerns in the comment section. You may have also noticed a new intro, and you'll see a new outro in just a moment. So enjoy, and see you next time.